Have you ever held a chocolate bar in your hand? Did you pause for a moment before taking that first delightful bite? It's a simple pleasure, a moment of joy for so many people. Indeed, it's a treat loved dearly across the entire world. But have you ever truly stopped to wonder about its origins? How does this delicious confection actually come to be? The story behind your favorite chocolate bar is quite an amazing one. It's a captivating journey filled with surprising twists and many turns. This journey transforms a humble being from a distant land. It becomes the sweet, irresistible delight we all know and cherish. The incredible journey of a chocolate bar is truly remarkable. It all begins in lush tropical regions far away from most of us. Here, special cacao trees grow their precious, colorful pods. Inside these pods, nestled safely, are the valuable cacao beans. These beans are the very heart and soul of all chocolate. However, at this early stage, they don't taste anything like chocolate. They must embark on a long voyage from their sunny native homes. They will go through many careful, intricate, and transformative steps. Each distinct step is absolutely crucial for developing the final complex taste. It's a long and fascinating path from a simple bean to a finished wrapped bar. The making of chocolate is truly a massive global undertaking. This complex process connects people from very different parts of our world. Think of the dedicated farmers in warm, sun-drenched equatorial lands. They carefully and skillfully harvest the cacao pods, often by hand. Their hard work forms the truly essential first step in the chain. Then try to imagine modern, bustling, technologically advanced factories. These impressive factories might be located thousands of miles away from the farms. Here, highly trained experts use specialized machines and also time-honored techniques. They all work together in harmony to craft the perfect chocolate experience for you. This worldwide collaboration ensures that delicious chocolate reaches your hands. So, how does this almost magical transformation actually occur? What are the well-kept secrets behind that smooth, melting texture we love? How is that rich, deep, and complex flavor developed so perfectly every time? In the following sections of this essay, we will embark on an exciting exploration. We will delve deep into the fascinating and intricate world of chocolate making. We intend to uncover each distinct stage of its detailed production cycle. We will carefully follow the cacao bean step by careful step, from its very humble beginnings as a seed on a tropical tree to its final glorious form as a delightful, neatly packaged chocolate bar. Prepare to learn all the fascinating details of this amazing process. The complete story of chocolate production is truly captivating from start to end. It's a wonderful tale that is filled with interesting history and continuous innovation. It skillfully blends ancient tradition. These are time-tested ways of doing things. It also uses effective, cutting-edge, modern technology. We often take this wonderfully sweet treat completely for granted in our daily lives. We rarely pause for a moment to think about the complex processes involved, but truly understanding its creation can significantly deepen your appreciation for it. Are you curious about what really happens behind those imposing factory doors? Do you genuinely want to know how simple raw ingredients become such a refined pleasure? The intricate process of making chocolate is a very delicate dance. It is a harmonious dance between precise, methodical science and creative, inspired art. There are many complex chemical reactions that need to be perfectly controlled. For instance, think about the crucial stage of roasting the cacao beans, or take a moment to consider the careful scientific tempering of the liquid chocolate. These important non-negotiable steps require a solid and thorough scientific understanding. Yet, at the very same time, there is an undeniable and essential artistry involved. Chocolatiers creatively experiment with different blends and exciting flavors. They painstakingly blend various types of beans to achieve unique profiles. They also work to create unique textures and unforgettable sensory experiences for us. Therefore, we warmly and enthusiastically invite you to join us on this sweet journey. Prepare yourself to discover the intricate and often hidden world behind every chocolate bar. We will metaphorically peel back the familiar wrapper on this entire process. We will encourage you to look far beyond just the delicious final taste. Through this exploration, you will see the immense hard work involved. You will also learn about the very careful, closely watched processes. You will gain insight into the vast global network that makes it all possible. By the end, you'll surely have a newfound and profound appreciation for chocolate. You'll understand the journey from a tiny bean to a bar of pure, complete joy. Let's begin this delicious and truly fascinating adventure together right now. Our chocolate journey begins with a truly special plant. This plant is the cacao tree, scientifically known as. The name itself has a wonderful meaning. It translates from Greek as food of the gods. This name perfectly hints at the precious treasure it provides. These trees are not towering giants like some forest dwellers. Instead, they are relatively small understory trees, often growing 15 to 25 feet tall. They are evergreen, meaning they keep their lush leaves year-round. These leaves provide a beautiful canopy in their tropical homes. The cacao tree is the very starting point, the origin of all chocolate. Cacao trees are quite particular about where they will grow. They thrive only in specific conditions, found in a narrow band around the equator. This region is often called the cocoa belt or the cacao belt. It stretches about 20 degrees north and south of the equator. These trees require a warm climate consistently throughout the year. They need high humidity and plenty of rainfall to flourish properly. However, they do not like direct, harsh sunlight or strong winds. Therefore, they are often grown under the protective shade of larger companion trees. Trees like banana, rubber, mango, or coconut palms can provide this vital shade. These conditions create the perfect steamy nursery for cacao. You will find these remarkable cacao trees in specific parts of our world. West Africa is a major cacao growing region, with countries like Ivory Coast and Ghana leading production. Latin America, the cacao tree's ancestral home, also boasts significant cultivation. Countries such as Ecuador, Brazil, and Peru are well known for their fine cacao. Furthermore, cacao farming has spread to parts of Southeast Asia. Indonesia and Papua New Guinea are notable producers in this region. These trees are part of a delicate tropical ecosystem. Growing them sustainably is incredibly important for the environment and local communities. Farmers in these regions often tend to small plots of land. Their dedication is the foundation of the entire chocolate industry. One of the most fascinating features of the cacao tree is how it flowers and fruits. Let us now take a closer look at the cacao pod itself. These pods are the direct result of a successfully pollinated cacao flower. They are quite impressive, varying in shape, size, and even color. Some pods are elongated, almost like a narrow American football. Others might be more rounded or even melon-shaped. Their size can range from about 6 inches to over a foot in length. The outer layer of the pod is a tough, leathery rind or husk. This protective husk can be surprisingly thick and quite resilient. As the pods mature over several months, their colors change dramatically. They can transform from green to vibrant shades of yellow, orange, red, or even deep purple, depending on the variety. Inside this tough, protective exterior lies the true treasure. This is where we find the precious cacao beans. Each pod typically contains between 20 and 50 of these valuable beans. The beans are neatly arranged in rows running along the pod's central core. When fresh, the beans themselves are soft and about the size of an almond. Their initial color is usually white, pale pink, or a light lavender shade. They are nestled within a remarkable substance, a sweet, moist, white pulp. This surrounding pulp is known scientifically as mucilage, or more commonly as baba. The baba has a unique flavor, often described as slightly acidic, sweet, and sometimes fruity, like lychee or citrus. It's a surprising and delightful contrast to the bitterness of the raw beans. The white, sticky pulp surrounding the cacao beans is incredibly important. It is far more than just a simple packing material provided by nature. This mucilaginous pulp plays an absolutely essential role in the journey to chocolate. It is rich in sugars, moisture, and various organic compounds. These components are vital for the crucial fermentation process that comes next. The sugars in the pulp provide the necessary food for the microorganisms. These yeast and bacteria will drive the fermentation reactions. The pulp also helps to keep the beans moist at the beginning of this stage. Interestingly, in many cacao growing regions, the fresh pulp is also enjoyed on its own. People consume it as a refreshing snack, or it's sometimes used to make juices and even alcoholic beverages. Knowing exactly when to harvest the cacao pods is a skill. It requires careful observation and experience from the cacao farmers. A cacao pod typically takes about 5 to 6 months to fully mature after pollination. Farmers look for specific visual cues to determine if a pod is ripe. The most obvious sign is the change in color. As mentioned earlier, a green pod might turn yellow or a red pod might deepen in its hue. Some experienced farmers might also gently shake the pod. If it's ripe, they might hear a slight rattling sound from the beans inside. Harvesting at the peak of ripeness is crucial. This ensures the beans have the best possible sugar content in the pulp, which is key for good fermentation and ultimately superior chocolate flavor. The process of harvesting cacao pods is demanding work. It is almost entirely done by hand, requiring skill and precision. Farmers navigate their cacao groves, carefully selecting only the ripe pods. They use sharp tools such as long-handled knives or specially designed hooked blades. Sometimes a well-sharpened machete is used for pods within easy reach. Great care must be taken when cutting the pods from the tree. It is vital not to damage the delicate flower cushions on the trunk and branches. These are the spots from which new flowers and future pods will grow. Damage to these cushions can reduce the tree's productivity for years to come. In many cacao regions, harvesting can occur throughout much of the year as pods ripen continuously. Once the ripe cacao pods are carefully cut from the trees, they are gathered. They are often collected in baskets or sacks by the farm workers. The next immediate step is to open these pods to release the beans. This task is also typically performed manually, right there on the farm. It usually happens within a few days of the harvest, sometimes even the same day. Farmers will skillfully crack open the tough husk of each pod. This might be done with a swift controlled blow from a wooden club or the blunt side of a machete. Alternatively, some farmers strike two pods together to break them open. Once open, the precious contents, the beans covered in their white pulp, are scooped out. The empty husks are often left on the ground to decompose and return nutrients to the soil. Now comes one of the most magical and critical stages in the entire process. This stage is called fermentation, and it is where the journey of flavor truly begins. The fresh cacao beans straight from the pod taste nothing like chocolate. They are actually quite bitter and astringent at this point. Fermentation is a natural, transformative process that changes this dramatically. It harnesses the power of naturally occurring yeast and bacteria present in the environment and on the pod surface. This crucial step usually takes place right on the farm itself. It doesn't require high-tech equipment, but rather knowledge passed down through generations. Without proper fermentation, the complex and beloved flavors of chocolate simply cannot develop. It is both an art and a science, heavily influenced by local conditions. So, how does this remarkable fermentation process actually unfold? The wet beans, still enveloped in their sugary pulp, are typically gathered into piles. These piles might be made on a bed of banana leaves on the ground. The leaves are then often used to cover the pile, creating a warm, moist environment. Alternatively, beans can be fermented in shallow wooden boxes or baskets. These containers often have holes or slats to allow liquids to drain away. Almost immediately, microorganisms begin their work on the sweet pulp. Yeasts convert the sugars into alcohol, and then bacteria convert the alcohol into acetic acid. This process generates significant heat, with temperatures inside the fermenting mass rising considerably. This heat, along with the chemical changes, kills the germ of the cacao bean, preventing it from sprouting, and transforms the bean's internal chemistry, creating the vital precursor compounds that will later yield the rich chocolate aroma and taste during roasting. This vital transformation takes several days, usually between 5 and 7, and farmers will turn the beans periodically to ensure even fermentation and aeration. After the intense and flavor awakening process of fermentation, the cacao beans are not yet ready. They are still quite wet, holding on to a lot of moisture from the pulp. Their journey towards becoming chocolate has truly begun, but a vital step awaits. This next phase is drying, a period of patient transformation for the beans. It's a process that is absolutely essential for their preservation and continued development. Without proper drying, all the careful work of fermentation could be quickly undone. The beans still carry a high moisture content, around 60%. This moisture makes them vulnerable to unwanted guests like mold and bacteria. So the farmers must now gently reduce this water, preparing the beans for storage. This careful reduction is key to locking in the flavors developed during fermentation. The most traditional and widely practiced method of drying cacao beans is harnessing the power of the sun. Imagine large quantities of these dark fermented beans spread out in thin layers. They might be laid carefully upon large bamboo mats placed directly on the ground. Sometimes concrete patios or raised wooden beds with mesh bottoms are used. These raised beds, often called drying tables, allow for better air circulation around the beans. Farmers will diligently rake and turn the beans frequently throughout the day. This constant movement ensures that every single bean is evenly exposed to the sun's warmth. It also helps to prevent any clumping, which could lead to uneven drying. This sun drying process can take anywhere from 5 to 14 days, depending on the weather. It's a slow, natural method, allowing the beans to dry gently and thoroughly. The primary goal of drying is to significantly lower the moisture content within each bean. This reduction is critically important for several compelling reasons. Lowering the moisture level, typically down to about 6 to 8%, halts the fermentation. It effectively stops the activity of the yeast and bacteria naturally present. Most importantly, it prevents the growth of mold and other undesirable microorganisms. Mold can completely ruin a batch of cacao beans, rendering them unusable for chocolate. As the beans dry, they also undergo further subtle chemical changes. The acidity developed during fermentation begins to decrease slightly. Their color deepens further, often to a rich dark brown. They shrink a little and become firmer, ready for the next stage of their adventure. While sun drying is the preferred and most common method for its quality benefits, it's not always possible. In some cacao growing regions, the rainy season can make consistent sun drying very difficult. During these periods of prolonged wet weather, some farmers may use artificial dryers. These mechanical dryers use controlled heat and airflow to dry the beans more quickly. However, great care must be taken with artificial drying methods. If the heat is too high or the drying too rapid, it can negatively affect the bean's flavor. It might even trap unwanted volatile acids inside the beans. Therefore, achieving even and gentle drying is paramount, regardless of the method used. Properly dried beans are stable, easier to store, and far less likely to spoil. They are now one step closer to becoming the chocolate we all adore. Once the cacao beans have been thoroughly dried to the perfect moisture level, they are ready. They have been transformed from soft, wet seeds into stable, aromatic treasures. Their journey on the farm from pod to dried bean is now complete, but their global adventure is only just beginning as they prepare for a long voyage. These precious beans must now travel, often thousands of miles, from their tropical origins. They are destined for chocolate factories located in various parts of the world. This intricate process of collection, packing, and shipping is a logistical marvel. It connects the hardworking cacao farmers to the eager chocolate makers. The beans are now considered a valuable agricultural commodity, ready for international trade. Their quality has been carefully nurtured, and now it must be preserved during transit. The next practical step involves carefully packing the dried cacao beans for their journey. This is usually done by gathering the beans and sorting them to remove any debris. Things like broken beans, twigs, or small stones are manually separated out. The clean dried beans are then typically packed into large sacks. These sacks are traditionally made from natural fibers like jute or burlap. These materials are chosen because they are strong, durable, and importantly, breathable. Breathability helps to prevent any moisture build up inside the sacks during shipping. Each sack is usually filled to a standard weight, often around 60 to 70 kilograms, about 130 to 150 pounds. These filled sacks are then carefully stitched closed, ready for transport. They represent the culmination of months, even years of dedicated agricultural work. Now, the packed sacks of cacao beans begin their often long and complex journey. They are first transported from the individual farms or local cooperatives. This might involve trucks, boats, or even animals, depending on the region's infrastructure. They are brought to central collection points or directly to warehouses at a port. Here, they might be further inspected and graded before being loaded onto large cargo ships. These ships will carry vast quantities of cacao beans across entire oceans. Imagine vessels laden with beans from Ghana, Ecuador, or Indonesia, all sailing the seas. This global movement highlights the truly international nature of the chocolate industry. It's a testament to how interconnected our world has become through trade. The beans are on their way to countries far from where they were originally grown. Upon reaching their destination ports, often in Europe, North America, or Asia, the journey continues. The sacks of cacao beans are carefully unloaded from the ships. They then pass through customs and are transported to the chocolate manufacturers' facilities. Chocolate companies eagerly await these shipments, the raw material for their creations. Great care is taken throughout the shipping process to protect the beans. They must be kept dry and safe from any contamination or pest infestation. The quality of the final chocolate product heavily depends on the condition of the arriving beans. This remarkable voyage from a small tropical farm to a large industrial factory is extraordinary. The humble cacao bean has traveled far, ready for the next exciting stages of its transformation. Soon, these beans will be roasted, ground, and turned into the delicious chocolate we know and love. The cacao beans, having journeyed far across vast oceans, finally arrive at the chocolate factory. Their long voyage from tropical farms is complete, but their transformation is not yet finished. They often carry with them subtle, sometimes visible remnants of their agricultural origin and the journey itself. Before any intense heat can be applied to awaken their deeper flavors, a thorough and meticulous cleaning process is absolutely essential. This initial stage is paramount, ensuring that only pure cacao material proceeds to the subsequent more delicate steps of chocolate making. Dedicated workers and specialized machinery work in tandem to meticulously remove any lingering foreign materials. Small particles of dust, tiny fragments of dirt, almost invisible stones, or stray pieces of the jute sack or dried pod must be carefully sifted and sorted away. This crucial purification process is absolutely vital for guaranteeing the ultimate quality, the refined texture, and the overall safety of the final chocolate product that will eventually delight consumers. Without this careful, almost forensic cleansing, unwanted flavors or unpleasant, gritty textures could potentially mar the perfection of the chocolate. Once the treasured cacao beans are deemed impeccably clean, they stand poised and ready for a pivotal transformation. This next stage is the art and science of roasting. This is far more than just a simple drying process, as much of the moisture has already been removed post-fermentation. Instead, roasting is a carefully controlled and precisely executed cooking stage, a baptism by fire, so to speak. It is within the heated embrace of the roaster that the deep, rich, and incredibly complex flavors we universally associate with fine chocolate truly begin to blossom and emerge. You might think of it as being very similar to the process of roasting coffee beans. The strategic application of controlled heat skillfully unlocks a hidden orchestra of aromatic compounds that were dormant within the raw bean. The initial, somewhat earthy and occasionally acidic notes characteristic of the fermented and dried bean start their remarkable evolution. This critical step is an undeniable cornerstone in the time-honored craft of chocolate making, fundamentally altering the bean's intricate chemistry and setting the stage for its ultimate taste. It is a critical juncture on the path from bean to bar, a process that dictates so much of the final chocolate bar's unique character and delightful personality. The primary objectives of the roasting process are indeed multifaceted, each playing a crucial role in the development of flavor. Firstly, this intense heating significantly reduces any residual moisture content that might still be lingering within the beans after their sun or artificial drying. This further enhances their long-term shelf stability and prepares them optimally for the intense friction and pressure of the grinding stage to come. More importantly, however, the carefully managed heat initiates a cascade of complex chemical reactions, most notably the celebrated Maillard reaction. These fascinating reactions are responsible for creating hundreds of new, delightful flavor and aroma compounds that simply did not exist before. The inherent bitterness of the raw, unroasted bean begins to mellow and recede, being gradually replaced by richer, more nuanced, and altogether more inviting notes. Furthermore, roasting serves a vital mechanical purpose. It helps to effectively loosen the dry, papery outer shell from the precious inner part of the bean, which is known as the nib. This critical loosening is absolutely vital for the success of the subsequent winnowing stage, greatly aiding in their clean and efficient separation. To carry out this delicate yet immensely powerful operation, specialized roasting machines are invariably employed by chocolate makers. Typically, these impressive pieces of equipment are large, rotating drums that tumble the beans, or sometimes more modern, sophisticated fluid bed roasters that use hot air. The meticulously cleaned cacao beans are introduced into these heated chambers where they begin to tumble continuously. This constant gentle motion is crucial. It ensures that every single bean is roasted as evenly as possible, preventing any individual beans from scorching or becoming unevenly developed. As the roasting progresses, the air within the factory begins to fill with an increasingly rich, warm, and utterly enticing aroma, a signature scent of chocolate production. Highly skilled roasters, often with years of experience, carefully monitor every aspect of the process, precisely controlling both the temperature and the duration of the roast. Their accumulated expertise and keen senses are paramount, as even slight, almost imperceptible variations in the roasting conditions can dramatically alter the final flavor profile of the chocolate produced. The beans emerge visibly darker and intensely fragrant, perfectly poised for the next crucial step in their journey. The roasting process itself is a truly delicate dance, a careful choreography of precise temperature and exact timing. Every single batch of cacao beans arriving at the factory can be wonderfully unique, its character subtly or significantly influenced by its specific geographic origin. its particular botanical variety, and even the unique climatic conditions of its specific harvest season. Therefore, dedicated chocolatiers and chocolate makers often invest considerable time and effort in developing highly specific roasting profiles meticulously tailored for different types of beans. These detailed profiles precisely dictate the required temperature curve the beans must follow and the exact duration of the roast. Roasting temperatures can typically range from around 120 degrees Celsius to 160 degrees Celsius, which is approximately 250 degrees Fahrenheit to 320 degrees Fahrenheit. And sometimes, for certain desired effects or bean types, they might even go slightly higher. The famed Maillard reaction, a complex non-enzymatic browning process between amino acids and reducing sugars, is in full glorious swing during this heating stage. It is this very series of reactions that is primarily responsible for creating the signature toasted, nutty, caramel-like, and deeply complex chocolatey flavors that are so beloved. This careful, almost obsessive control ensures that the desired character and full potential of the beans are achieved. As the cacao beans continuously tumble and gracefully absorb the intense dry heat within the roaster, they undergo a truly remarkable and multifaceted physical and chemical transformation. Their external color deepens quite significantly, shifting from a lighter, somewhat unassuming brown to a rich, dark, and often glossy hue that hints at the flavors developing within. They also become noticeably more brittle and fragile to the touch, a crucial physical change that is essential for the upcoming cracking stage of the winnowing process. The internal structure of the bean also undergoes significant alteration. Any remaining internal moisture rapidly converts to steam, causing the bean to swell slightly, almost like it's taking a deep breath. This slight expansion further helps to effectively loosen the thin outer husk from the precious, flavor-packed nib nestled safely inside. The most immediately noticeable change, however, particularly for anyone fortunate enough to be nearby, is the veritable explosion of aroma. The factory air becomes wonderfully thick and heavy with the absolutely captivating scent of roasting cacao, a truly irresistible and complex perfume that is a hallmark of chocolate production. The specific intensity and precise duration of the roast profoundly and directly influence the final flavor profile of the chocolate that will eventually be produced. A deliberately lighter roast, for instance, might be chosen to preserve more of the bean's delicate and often unique original fruity, spicy, or floral notes, a technique frequently preferred for so-called fine flavor cacao varieties that possess inherently complex base characteristics. This approach can result in a chocolate with a brighter, perhaps more noticeably acidic character, showcasing the bean's terroir. A medium roast, often considered a versatile workhorse, tends to develop more balanced, classically comforting, chocolatey flavors, frequently revealing pleasant hints of caramel, warm nuts, or toasted bread. Darker roasts, by contrast, are designed to create more intense, robust, and sometimes even slightly smoky or pleasantly bitter notes, favored by those who enjoy a powerful chocolate impact. The chocolatier's true skill and artistry lie in perceptively selecting the perfect roast level. This critical choice must expertly complement the bean's intrinsic qualities and align perfectly with the desired taste experience intended for the final consumer of the chocolate bar. For the highly experienced and dedicated roaster, this crucial stage of the chocolate making process is truly an art form, one that is expertly guided by all of their developed senses. While modern machinery meticulously controls the parameters of temperature and time with great accuracy, vigilant human oversight and intervention remain absolutely critical for achieving optimal results. The continually evolving aroma emanating from the roaster is a key and immediate indicator of the roast's steady progress towards its ideal point. Seasoned roasters can often tell by the subtle changes in smell precisely when the beans are approaching their peak of flavor development. They also learn to listen intently for the subtle sounds produced by the beans as they roast, such as the characteristic first crack, a phenomenon remarkably similar to popcorn popping, which signals important internal changes. Visual cues, like the gradual and consistent deepening of the color, are constantly monitored with a practiced eye. Sometimes small samples are carefully extracted from the roaster using a special scoop, allowing for a quick visual inspection or even a taste test to check the development. This careful, deeply sensory-driven approach ensures that the very soul of the chocolate is fully and beautifully awakened within each and every bean. Once the intricate roasting process has been perfectly completed and the beans have reached their desired flavor development, they are immediately and rapidly cooled. This quick cooling step is extremely important because it effectively halts the roasting reactions at precisely the right moment. It decisively prevents the beans from inadvertently over-roasting due to any lingering residual heat that they still retain. The beans emerge from the fiery heart of the roaster significantly darker in color, intensely more fragrant than before they entered, and noticeably more brittle in their physical structure. Their thin outer shells, which have now become quite papery and loose, have faithfully served their protective purpose throughout the bean's growth, fermentation, drying, and roasting. The true treasure, the rich and flavorful cacao nib, lies securely hidden within this now fragile casing. The next crucial step in this fascinating journey is to carefully and efficiently liberate these precious nibs from their shells. This is skillfully achieved through a time-honored process known as winnowing, an ancient technique that has been ingeniously refined and mechanized by modern food processing technology. It is fundamentally a separation task, but one of utmost importance for the quality of the final chocolate. Winnowing, in its essence, is the methodical and systematic process of first cracking the roasted cacao beans and then meticulously separating their now brittle outer shells from the valuable inner kernels. These highly sought after kernels are the prized cacao nibs, which are, in fact, the very essence and foundational ingredient of all true chocolate. The shells, while they might carry a faint chocolatey aroma, are predominantly fibrous and are certainly not desirable in the smooth, melting texture expected of fine chocolate. If these shell fragments were to remain mixed with the nibs, they would inevitably impart an unpleasantly gritty texture to the final product and could also contribute a less refined, somewhat woody or earthy flavor. Therefore, achieving a remarkably clean and thorough separation of nibs from shells is absolutely paramount for producing high-quality chocolate with a luxurious mouthfeel. The ultimate goal of the winnowing process is to obtain a stream of pure cacao nibs, as free as possible from any shell contamination. This critical step ensures that the subsequent grinding process begins with the best possible, purest raw material from which the rich chocolate liquor will be made. To efficiently accomplish this vital separation of shell from nib, specialized machines, often referred to as cracker and fanners or simply winnowers, are universally employed in modern chocolate factories. First, the cooled roasted cacao beans are carefully fed into a designated cracking mechanism within the winnowing machine. This part of the machine is ingeniously designed to gently break the beans into numerous smaller pieces. The cracking action is calibrated to effectively shatter the now very brittle outer shell without excessively pulverizing the more robust and valuable nibs into dust. These resulting broken pieces, which are now a heterogeneous mixture of lighter shell fragments and heavier nib pieces, then typically fall or are conveyed into an area within the machine where they encounter strong, precisely directed air currents. The significantly lighter, papery shell fragments are effectively lifted and blown away by these powerful air currents, channeled into a separate collection stream. The heavier, denser nibs, however, are less affected by the airflow and fall through, guided by gravity, to be collected separately. This clever and efficient use of differences in density and aerodynamic properties ensures a highly effective and continuous separation. The final gratifying result of this meticulous winnowing process is a beautiful, fragrant pile of pure cacao nibs. These small, irregular, dark brown morsels are truly the concentrated heart and soul of the entire chocolate making journey thus far. They possess an incredibly intense, wonderfully concentrated raw chocolate flavor, often with nutty or fruity undertones and a surprisingly satisfyingly crunchy texture if tasted at this stage. The separated shells, it should be noted, are not always simply discarded as waste. They represent a valuable byproduct of the process. These cleaned shells can be repurposed in various creative ways, such as being used as a natural garden mulch, incorporated into some specialty tisanes or herbal teas to impart a subtle chocolate aroma, or even sometimes processed for use in animal feed. But it is undeniably the precious nibs that hold the true promise and potential for exquisite chocolate. They are now perfectly prepared and ready to be ground into the thick, flowing, and intensely aromatic chocolate liquor. This grinding marks the next major transformation on their remarkable path to becoming a delicious, smooth, and irresistible chocolate bar. The precious cacao nibs, now perfectly roasted and expertly winnowed, are ready for their next grand transformation. They have journeyed far and have been carefully prepared for this pivotal moment. This next stage in our chocolate adventure is the crucial process of grinding. Here, the humble, crunchy nibs will be meticulously broken down. The primary goal is to transform these solid pieces into a smooth, flowing liquid. This miraculous change occurs by releasing the rich fat hidden within the nibs. This fat is known as cocoa butter, the very soul of chocolate's melt. The grinding process is where the true essence of the cacao begins to emerge. It is a captivating step, turning solid fragments into a magical flowing substance. The air in the factory fills with an even more intense chocolate aroma. cacao nibs, you see, are quite remarkable in their natural composition. They are composed of roughly equal parts cocoa solids and cocoa butter. This cocoa butter, a unique vegetable fat, is solid at normal room temperature. However, it possesses the wonderful property of melting right around human body temperature. This is what gives fine chocolate that delightful melt in your mouth sensation. The grinding process itself generates a considerable amount of friction. This friction in turn creates heat within the grinding machinery. This naturally generated heat is sufficient to melt the cocoa butter present in the nibs. As the nibs are crushed and sheared, the cocoa butter is released. It then acts as a lubricant, turning the ground solids into a thick, warm paste. Various types of specialized machines are employed for this intensive grinding work. Historically, stone mills, similar to those used for grinding grain, were common. Some artisan chocolate makers still favor traditional stone grinders for their unique character. These grinders use heavy granite wheels to crush and shear the nibs over a granite base. More commonly, in modern, larger scale chocolate factories, you will find powerful roller refiners. These machines use a series of steel rollers rotating at different speeds. The nibs pass through the narrowing gaps between these rollers, getting progressively finer. Ball mills are another type of grinder where small steel balls tumble with the nibs in a large drum. The constant impact of these balls effectively pulverizes the nibs into incredibly tiny particles. Regardless of the specific machinery, the fundamental principle is to reduce particle size significantly. The incredible result of this intense and meticulous grinding process is a remarkable substance. It is a thick, dark, and wonderfully aromatic paste known as chocolate liquor. Sometimes it is also referred to as cocoa mass, cocoa paste, or unsweetened chocolate. Despite its rather intriguing name, chocolate liquor contains absolutely no alcohol whatsoever. The term liquor here simply refers to its liquid flowing state at this stage. This pure, unadulterated chocolate liquor is the very heart of all chocolate products. It is essentially 100% cacao, with nothing added and nothing taken away yet. At this point, it can be quite gritty if tasted, with a powerful bitter flavor. This chocolate liquor forms the fundamental base ingredient. From it, all the different types of chocolate, dark, milk, and white, will eventually be crafted. The journey from cacao nib to smooth, luxurious chocolate does not end with grinding. While the chocolate liquor is intensely flavorful, it still possesses a somewhat coarse texture. To achieve that truly sublime, velvety mouthfeel we expect from fine chocolate, another step is needed. This crucial refining process is known as conching. It was a revolutionary invention by Rudolf Lindt in Switzerland in 1879. Conching is a slow, patient process of kneading, mixing, and aerating the chocolate. The machines used for conching are called conches. The very first conching machine developed by Lindt was shaped like a conch shell. These traditional longitudinal conches had heavy granite rollers or stone slabs. Modern conning machines can vary in design, with rotary conners being very common today. They perform a similar function of continuous mixing, shearing, and aeration. The conning keeps the chocolate liquor in constant motion, ensuring thorough processing. Conching helps to round off any sharp edges on the tiny cocoa and sugar particles. It distributes the liquid cocoa butter thoroughly, encapsulating each tiny fragment. This creates a much smoother suspension, reducing friction between particles. The continuous agitation and slight heat also help to drive off any residual moisture, The result is a significant improvement in the overall flow and feel of the chocolate. This meticulous conching process is directly responsible for chocolate's signature silky quality. It transforms the chocolate from a somewhat rough, basic paste into an incredibly smooth, almost fluid elixir. The melt-in-your-mouth characteristic that we all cherish is greatly enhanced by conching. Without conching, chocolate as we know it today would simply not be the same. The remarkable transformation that occurs during conching extends far beyond just texture. While achieving that signature silky smoothness is a primary goal, conching also plays a vital role in flavor development. The chocolate liquor, even after grinding, can still retain some harsh or unbalanced taste notes. Conching provides a unique opportunity to mellow these flavors. The continuous movement and aeration within the concher are key to this flavor evolution. One of the most significant flavor-related changes during conching is the removal of unwanted volatile compounds. During fermentation, various organic acids such as acetic acid are naturally produced. The gentle heat and constant agitation of the conching process help to drive off these volatile acids. Any residual moisture is also reduced, which can concentrate flavors in a positive way. This process effectively airs out the chocolate, removing any off notes. The result is a rounder, more balanced, and ultimately more palatable chocolate experience. The duration and temperature of the conching process are critical variables. Chocolatiers carefully control these parameters to achieve their desired results. Different types of chocolate often require different conching treatments. For instance, milk chocolate might be conched at slightly lower temperatures. Dark chocolates, on the other hand, can sometimes benefit from slightly higher temperatures or longer times. Conching times can vary dramatically from just a few hours to 72 hours or even longer for premium varieties. As the conching process nears its completion, the chocolate liquor is utterly transformed. It has evolved from a relatively simple, somewhat gritty paste into a sophisticated, aromatic, and incredibly smooth liquid. The chocolatier's expertise plays a crucial role in determining when conching is complete. Once deemed perfect, this beautifully refined chocolate is ready for the next stages. The magic of grinding and conching has laid the essential foundation for the final, delicious chocolate bar. Our beautifully refined chocolate, now silky smooth after conching, is not quite ready for its final form. Before it can become the crisp, glossy bar we adore, it must undergo tempering. Tempering is a very precise process of controlled heating and cooling. It is absolutely essential for achieving the perfect texture and appearance in chocolate. Without this critical step, the chocolate might look dull or feel too soft. Tempering ensures that satisfying snap and beautiful, inviting shape. The magic of tempering lies entirely in the fascinating behavior of cocoa butter. Cocoa butter has a complex crystalline nature, meaning it can solidify in several different forms. Scientists call these different crystal structures polymorphs, and there are 6 of them. Only one of these, the prized form phi or beta crystal, is stable and desirable. This specific crystal structure gives quality chocolate its firm, brittle snap. It also provides that appealing glossy surface and a smooth melt. If chocolate is not tempered correctly, unstable crystals can form. This can lead to a dull appearance, a crumbly texture, or a dreaded fat bloom. The actual process of tempering chocolate involves a precise sequence of temperature changes. First, the conch chocolate is carefully melted to a specific higher temperature. The molten chocolate is then gradually cooled down while being gently stirred. This cooling stage allows the desirable, stable beta crystals to begin forming. The chocolate is then very gently reheated to a precise working temperature. This meticulous temperature control is absolutely key to successful tempering. Tempering truly elevates chocolate from a simple mixture to a refined confection. With our chocolate now perfectly tempered, it holds the promise of perfection. The next exciting stage in its journey is molding, where it takes its familiar shape. This is the moment where the liquid chocolate is transformed into solid bars. Chocolate makers use a wide variety of molds for this purpose. These molds are often made from food-grade polycarbonate, plastic, or silicone. They come in countless shapes and sizes, allowing for endless creativity. The tempered chocolate is carefully poured or deposited into these prepared molds. The process of filling the molds requires precision and careful attention. The tempered chocolate must be at its correct working temperature. This ensures it flows smoothly and fills every intricate detail of the mold. Sometimes the molds are filled simply with pure, unadulterated chocolate. Other times, exciting ingredients are added to create more complex bars. Once filled, the molds are often placed on a vibrating table for a short period. This gentle vibration helps to remove any tiny air bubbles trapped within the chocolate, ensuring a smooth, solid bar. After the molds are perfectly filled and any air bubbles are removed, the cooling phase begins. The filled molds embark on a journey through carefully controlled cooling environments. The temperature within these cooling zones is precisely regulated. Proper cooling ensures the chocolate sets with its glossy finish and firm texture intact. Finally, after their slow and steady passage through the cooling tunnels, the transformation is complete. The once liquid chocolate has now solidified into perfectly formed bars or shapes. The chocolate bars are now carefully demolded, often by inverting the molds. The journey of our chocolate bar is nearing its delicious end. But before it can be sent out into the world, it faces a final critical stage. This is the all-important phase of quality control. Every single chocolate bar must meet the highest standards. This means checking for taste, texture, appearance, and safety. Highly trained experts and sophisticated machines work together. They ensure that each bar is a true delight. Imagine dedicated inspectors scrutinizing each freshly molded bar. Their eyes are trained to spot any slight imperfection. Does the chocolate have that beautiful, glossy sheen we expect? Is the color rich, even, and true to its type? Expert tasters then sample batches, assessing the flavor profile. Does it melt smoothly on the tongue as it should? Is the balance of sweetness, bitterness, and aroma just right? Beyond human senses, technology also plays a crucial role here. Sophisticated machines scan and check the chocolate bars with precision. Metal detectors ensure no foreign objects have accidentally entered the chocolate. Automated scales verify that each bar meets its specified weight. The integrity of the packaging is also carefully inspected. Is the wrapper sealed correctly to maintain freshness? Are the labels accurate and clearly printed with all necessary information? Only after passing all these rigorous tests can a chocolate bar proceed. It is then ready for the final step of wrapping and packaging. The final product is a symbol of care, craftsmanship, and quality. Now that our chocolate bar is perfectly made and checked, let's have some fun. Chocolate is not just a delicious treat, it has a rich and fascinating history. It is surrounded by many amazing stories and surprising facts. Learning these tidbits can make your next chocolate moment even more special. So let's unwrap some of the delightful secrets hidden within chocolate. Are you ready to discover some sweet surprises about this beloved confection? This journey into chocolate's curious side is sure to delight you. Prepare to be amazed by the world of chocolate. It's more than just taste. It's a world of wonder. Let's explore some of these intriguing chocolatey details together. Did you know that cacao beans were once incredibly valuable? So valuable, in fact, that ancient civilizations used them as currency. The Mayans and Aztecs in Mesoamerica prized cacao highly. They would trade beans for goods, much like we use coins and notes today. The scientific name for the cacao tree is also quite telling. It literally means food of the gods in Greek. This shows the reverence ancient cultures had for this amazing plant. Chocolate was first consumed as a bitter, frothy drink, not a solid bar. Sugar was only added much later by Europeans. These historical roots add another layer to our appreciation of chocolate. The journey from bean to bar is quite an intensive one. It takes a surprisingly large number of cacao beans to make chocolate. For instance, around 400 cacao beans are typically needed to make just 1 pound of chocolate. That's a lot of beans for a single bar. When it comes to eating chocolate, some countries lead the way. European nations like Switzerland, Germany, and Ireland often top the charts. Their citizens enjoy many kilograms of chocolate per person each year. And what about the different types of chocolate? Dark chocolate contains cocoa solids, cocoa butter, and sugar. Milk chocolate adds milk powder, while white chocolate contains cocoa butter, sugar, and milk, but no cocoa solids. Chocolate isn't just about indulgence. It can have some interesting effects. Dark chocolate in particular is known for containing antioxidants. These compounds, like flavonoids, may offer certain health benefits. Some studies suggest they can be good for heart health when consumed in moderation. Many people also report that eating chocolate can lift their mood. This might be due to compounds in chocolate that can trigger pleasant feelings. It's often called a comfort food for good reason. And for a truly amazing feat, the world's largest chocolate bar ever made was enormous. It weighed thousands of kilograms, a true giant of confectionery. Chocolate is truly a food of endless fascination and enjoyment. Our sweet journey through the world of chocolate now reaches its end. We have seen the truly intricate path it takes, from a humble cacao bean hidden in a tropical pod to the delightful glossy bar we all know and love. It is a remarkable transformation filled with many careful steps. Each stage requires great skill, patience, and deep knowledge. This is far more than just a simple manufacturing process. It is a story of dedication, science, and also artistry combined. A story that unfolds from the farm to the factory and finally to you. Every single bite of chocolate carries this incredible unseen history. Think for a moment about the immense human effort involved. Consider the dedicated farmers tending cacao trees in sun-drenched lands. Their careful hands harvest the pods that start this entire chain. Then picture the skilled technicians and innovative scientists in bustling factories. And do not forget the passionate chocolatiers with their time-honored crafts. It is a vast, interconnected global network of countless individuals. All these people from diverse cultures and distant continents work together. They collaborate with a single shared purpose in their hearts: to bring this wonderful, sweet pleasure into our everyday lives. Their collective passion and unwavering commitment shine in every finished bar. However, the story of chocolate in our modern world continues to evolve. There's a growing, much-needed awareness among us all today. We think more deeply about how our favorite foods are actually made. This consideration extends beyond just the fascinating production process. It also includes the profound impact chocolate has on people and our planet. The concept of sustainability is now becoming increasingly central to the industry. Protecting our precious environment where cacao so beautifully grows is vital. Ensuring that cacao farms can continue to thrive for future generations. This is a responsibility that many producers are now beginning to embrace. A greener, more ethical future for chocolate is indeed possible. Alongside environmental care, fair trade practices are also gaining vital importance. These efforts focus on supporting the hard-working cacao farmers and their local communities. They aim to ensure that farmers receive a truly fair and stable price, a price that reflects their incredibly hard and absolutely essential work. So, the next time you choose a delicious chocolate bar to enjoy, take a brief moment to remember this truly incredible, complex journey, and perhaps also consider the thoughtful choices we can all make as consumers. Appreciate the immense effort, the beautiful art, and the growing ethical considerations that can and should go into crafting your favorite chocolate treat. Enjoy your chocolate deeply, thoughtfully, and ever so sweetly. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, leave a comment, and subscribe for more.